What is up, you guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. You guys, I honestly wish I had a special ability. It's so funny, you know how when you find one of your eyelashes you're meant to make a wish and then blow it away? From ages 6 to 12 I had the same wish every single time I did it, and that was to either be magic or be able to do magic. Spoiler alert, it never worked, so there's that. I mean, I may not have been blessed with any abilities, but this list definitely is. You guys loved part 1, and today we have the top 10 abilities people actually have, part 2. Starting us off with number 10, we have super reflexes. And I've always been fascinated with samurais, and that's probably because I used to watch a lot of Samurai Jack growing up. Either way, Japanese martial artist Isao Machi was blessed with such fast reflexes that if you shoot him with a BB gun, he can cut the bullet with a sword, which very much reminds me of Fruit Ninja for some reason. If anyone played that on the iPad, loved that. He holds several Guinness World Records, like most sword cuts delivered to a straw mat, which was 252 in 3 minutes, and the fastest BB pellet cut by a sword at 158.29 kilometers per hour. Mate, what even is that? Doctors haven't even been able to figure out how his reaction times are on that level, but guesses are that he processes what he sees on a different wavelength to normal people. Coming in at number 9 is echolocation. We already know sea mammals and bats use echolocation to find each other and their prey, as well as navigate in general. It allows them to know where an object is, how far away it is, and so on. Now, weirdly enough, there are some humans that have the ability to use echolocation as well. Now, the ability is restricted to blind people since they've mastered the sensitivity of reflected sound. People like James Holman, Ben Underwood, and Daniel Kish use the technique like this. Someone will actively make a noise like clicking their tongue, and from echoes that sound creates, they can determine which objects are located around them. They can figure out the object's location, its size, and its volume. I wish I had that skill, honestly. At number 8, we have the human calculator, which would have been helpful as in school, but I guess we can't all be Scott Flansburgh, can we? Bloody Scott. Scott! You will rue the day! Now, the Guinness Book of Records listed Scott as the fastest human calculator in 2001 and 2003, and he was somehow able to add numbers 15 seconds faster than someone using an actual calculator. His mental ability to calculate the answers is actually faster than his ability to speak the answers. And he doesn't just do addition, he does square roots, cube roots, he's literally a calculator. I mean, obviously not a scientific one though, because he's not out here doing the quadratic formula or trigonometry in his head, but still impressive nonetheless. These days, Scott is an edutainer, improving kids' mental math skills and trying to make maths more fun. Honestly, I was good at maths in high school, but I still hated it. Hate maths, never liked it. I really liked English. Following at number 7 slot is the super sprinter. So every human has the ACTN3 gene, but the variations of this gene lead to variations in our ability to do sports. Certain variants allow the body to produce more alpha-actinin 3, which is a protein that controls fast twitch muscle fibers, as well as the flexing of muscles during exercise. Back in 2008, geneticists studied a bunch of elite runners and athletes and found that barely any of them have 2 defective copies of the gene. 20% of the population does inherit 2 defective copies of the gene, making them completely deficient in the protein. Having this gene literally makes or breaks your life as an athlete. I didn't get this gene. Not athletic. I'm athletic, I like going to the gym, but I don't need the gym. I'm not one of those student athletes who are like, grind, 100%, the grind never stops. Now at number 6 is See the Rainbow. Concetta Antico is an Australian artist that has a condition called tetrachromacy, which means she has 4 individual channels for color information in her eyes. Tetrachromats have 2 different mutations in each X chromosome, which means unlike normal people who have 3 codes in their eyes, they have 4. The condition isn't rare by any means. Half the women in Europe have it, but Antico's vision is enhanced on another level. She's the world's first tetrachroma artist, and her paintings are insane. I was watching videos of her artwork, and I can't even comprehend how many colors she includes in the paintings. I watched her do a live painting of a peacock, and I was shocked at how many shades of blue even exist in there. And mind you, she sees 99 million colors as opposed to the average human who can only recognize 1 million. To her, a pebble can look like a rainbow, and she's described it as looking like one, so I mean, you know, she's seen the rainbow, alright. Coming Coming in at number 5 is super taste. I wish I had this one. I already love food way too much, so it's like if I had it, I just legit would never stop eating. Guys, there are super tasters among us. These people can taste things with a much greater intensity than we can because they have extra fungi-form papillae. And that is basically a fancy term for the bumps on our tongue that are covered in taste buds. Now there are 5 types of taste we all know. This is salty, sour, sweet, umami, and bitter. And bitterness is the one that they can taste the most sharply. And because of that, they usually hate bitter foods like Brussels sprouts, coffee, grapefruit juice, etc. Can you just imagine not liking grapefruit juice or coffee? Cannot relate. At number 4 is the sleeping ability, and now most people need 8 hours of sleep, which is ludicrous to me because I can legitimately sleep for 12 hours at a time. I kid you not. Ask anyone at Top 10, ask any of my friends. Now I remember when I first got the job at Top 10, I used to be so tired throughout the week, and then on my day off, I would always sleep for 12 to 16 hours every time. Even these days during quarantine, I'll wake up at 2 p.m. and then nap from 5 till 10 p.m. Call it a superpower. Call it depression. At least you're calling it something. But me aside, this ability lets people function on a lot less sleep. People that have the age deck 2 gene can feel good as new after 4 hours of sleep, and that's all they need. A study was undertaken back in 2014 on identical twins where one had the gene and one did not. The twin that was a short sleeper outperformed the other twin after the same amount of sleep the night before. I'm telling you, people who sleep less just are better in general. That was me in high school. I would literally stay up till 3 a.m. doing work, then wake up at 6, go to school, come back, and then nap. I've always been a napper. Filling in the 3 slot is absolute pitch. People that have absolute pitch can hear and reproduce a tone without any reference. Just imagine the person can remember and identify the pitch of everyday things like horns and sirens and can sing them while naming the chord or key it's at. They magically know the frequency of each note without any musical training whatsoever. Only 3% of the population has absolute pitch. However, in music conservatories, those numbers reach 70%, but that's through pure training. Fun fact, a lot of people who are born blind also have absolute pitch. Now at number 2 are immortal cells. Back in 1951, 31-year-old Henrietta Lacks was diagnosed with cervical cancer and died. Unbeknownst to her or her family, her surgeon non-consensually took a tissue sample from her tumor, which was later studied. Lacks's tissue created the immortal HeLa cell line because the cells from the tissue sample were able to divide at an abnormal rate outside the human body, which is usually not possible. She is the only known case of this even being possible, so much so that the day she died, the doctor announced that they used her cells to find a cure for cancer. Now that didn't end up happening, but her cells were used to cure polio, so I mean, there is that. And I know this isn't an actual ability someone has, I just thought it was very cool that only one person in the history of the world harbored immortal cells. And she didn't even know, her family didn't even know her cells were being tested on for the longest time. And finally, at number 1 is no pain. Congenital analgesia is a condition that renders the person unable to feel any physical pain whatsoever. Prick them with a needle, put their hand in boiling water, they will not feel a thing. Does this extend to emotional pain as well? I'm obviously asking for a friend. Apparently the condition is caused by an increased production of endorphins in the brain, and as good as it sounds to have it, it's actually super dangerous. Feeling pain is critical in order to survive. A lot of people who have this condition die during infancy because they have injuries or illnesses that go untreated simply because the person can't feel that something is wrong. They would have no idea if they were bleeding internally or if they had a broken bone. They've never felt pain, so they can't even identify intensity of pain, which is just not ideal. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're missing out on much because you're not missing out on much, but I mean, it's always good to be able to identify your illnesses or diseases because then you might just die. And that is it for today's video, guys. I hope quarantine is treating you well. I'm just letting it go by. You know what I mean? I know you guys know I've had enough. I have had enough. I've had enough. Anyway, let's just pretend that didn't happen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys want a part 3. As always, I've been your host, Eamon Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!